Hey everybody, it's Mr. G, and I'm here to show you guys how to apply fractions to your everyday life. So let's talk about equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions, that means that fractions are equivalent even though they might have a different denominator or a different numerator. So you can compare fractions and see if they're equal if you have two equal wholes. So two equal wholes, two parts of a hamburger bun, right? One hole right here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this piece of the hamburger bun into halves and this into fourths. And we're going to see what happens when we match them up together. Okay, so let's start with this one. Let's cut it in half. Beautiful. Okay. One half makes a whole. This hamburger bun I'm going to cut into fourths. Okay, and I've cut it once. This is a half. I'm going to cut these halves in half. And now, in order to make one whole, you can see now I have 4/4. Now, I want you guys to notice something here. This is a half. These are 2/4. What do you notice about them? They're the same size. So even though a fraction might have a different denominator and numerator, they can still be the same. Now, we've learned a little bit about that, but what I want to do now is show you how you can tell that a fraction is equivalent by using the number line. So that's the next thing that we're going to take a look at. Hey everybody, so let's talk a little bit more about equivalent fractions. We just saw that little bit on me cutting the bread and how 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. But what we're going to focus on today is recognize and identify that equivalent fractions are going to be on the same spot on the number line. So we're taking those visuals and now we're putting them onto a number line here. So if you take a look here, I got two pizzas, right? Now, I want you to pause the video for a second and count. How many pieces of pizza are on this right here? And how many pieces of pizza are on this one right here? Okay, so if you counted correctly, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces here, but there's one part shaded. So if there's one part shaded out of 5 parts, think to yourself, what is the fraction going to be? Pause the video for a second. If you said 1/5, that's correct. Now, this pizza right here is cut into 10 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the bottom number, our denominator, would be 10 because it's split into 10 pieces. And there's on this one, there's 2 parts shaded. So the fraction would be 2/10. So what we're going to do here is we're going to see whether or not these are equivalent fractions by looking at a number line. We're going to put both of these fractions on a number line. So how many number lines are we going to need? We're going to need 2. Okay, so the first one is going to be where we're going to place 1/5. Remember, our starting point is going to be 0 and 1 because both of these fractions are smaller than one whole, right? This is just one pizza and only part of it has been eaten, right? So we're going to split it into 5 parts. So how many lines are we going to draw? We're going to draw 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this would be 0/5, and this is 1/5 right here. Now, do you notice anything in common with these pizzas? When you look closely, it almost looks as if each of these pieces was cut in half to make this one right here. So if we cut all 5 of these pieces of pizza in half, we would have 10 pieces of pizza by the time we were done cutting them. So let's draw that out. Start at 0, end at 1, 0, and 1. And we're still going to make 2. But now to make sense, we're going to cut each of these pieces in half. So Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. This is 1/10. This is 2/10. This is 3/10, so on. 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. And then right here we have 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. Now take a look here. Find 1/5 on the number line. It's right here. And 2/10 on the number line. Now, if you remember, the other day we were comparing whether or not fractions were bigger or smaller by looking at their distance away from zero. So the further away a fraction is from zero, the bigger that fraction is, right? So we can look at 6/10 and 1/5. We can look at 6/10 and 1/5. Stop scratching, Ellie. Sorry. We can look at 6/10 and 1/5 and say that 6/10 is bigger because it's further away from zero. But if we look here, 2/10 and 1/5, they're actually the same distance from zero. So what does that tell you? Well, if they're on the same point on the number line, then these fractions are what we call equivalent or equal. They are the same. So 1/5 and 2/10 are equivalent because they're in the same spot on the number line. Okay, hopefully you found this a little bit easier right here. We can tell that fractions are equivalent if they take up the same spot on the number line. Okay, so that's the video lesson for today. Hopefully you guys found that helpful, and let me know if you have any other questions.